bike we just built, 2020 KTM 300 XCW. Go do a lap on the little training course here. Hit the jumps first. Alright, 2020 300 TE with a 52 2 sprocket. But it does have springs for my weight, which is nice. We're out with a gnarly too. Woo! That one was big. Got a little traction on that bad boy. Alright, firewood hitting up there. Woo.
So, you've been on both bikes now, what do you think?
Well,
is there much difference?
I mean, yeah, there's a drastic difference right now because yours has 52 2 sprocket. It has springs for my weight, and it has tubeless air down versus stock 50 gearing on the 2020 XCW. Stock springs, which are too light for me. But both bikes feel slimmer and narrower than, and almost a little bit shorter than the 17 through 19.
Okay, because you own the 19.
Yeah, I own the 19. It's the black one over here. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit more straight line stability and whoops on the linkage bikes like this TE and that XCW right there, or I mean XC right there. But you also don't feel any type of hang up
now
on any of the logs. But it has air forks, so you can adjust the forks for your weight.
Okay, that's right.
Out of the box.
Yeah. Do you like those better or not?
I like them better. I actually sold my.
How come?
Just adjustability. So I have revalved AER forks on my XCW.
So the adjustability is nice, but
they're also 3 pounds lighter.
Oh, no kidding, that much?
Yep.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah. It's about
how often do those things leak?
I've ran mine on snow bike for 2 seasons, and I've ran them for 2 seasons on my dirt bike, and they've never leaked.
Not leaking. Yep. Okay.
So
because I just like stuff that I don't have to fiddle with too much, and I think there's a lot of people like that are like, I just want to ride my bike. I don't want to like mess around a bunch.
AER forks, all you got to do is set your air pressure for what you like and not do it.
I think I've read on the internet that somebody said there's leak, but they might have been screwing around with them. Who knows?
Yeah, there's, I mean, people
that's not a common complaint though. It's like you follow the forums pretty close. That's not something.
The early air forks might have had some issues, but the late model air forks are pretty damn good out of the box. Especially the air forks are a lot better than the Japanese air forks that were ran for a while.
Right.
But yeah, I like them mainly because I can put my timber sled kit on and pump the air forks up to 180 and be good to go. Some 2020s that I've built here at the TrueNorthMotos with the help of my business partner Cal. Just kind of wanted to go over the builds on the bikes and then kind of the differences between them. So we'll start right here. This is a 2020 KTM 300 XCW TPI. It has our full dual sport kit on it, and once he gets some tires, then he will get the plate for this bike, but he needs DOT tires. That's about it. You got the HDB handguard system, which every one of these bikes has, but mirrors fold out. This is the CEV switch. It's much better quality, doesn't fail in the Northwest conditions where it gets wet and everything. You get rid of your kill switch. You got your kill right here, horn, lights off, low, high, and you got your turn signals down on the bottom.
And it's got the kill switch.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This bike has also the speedo protector, which bolts to the center clamp or top clamp right here. Going from front to back, we have Cherubies carbon fiber disc guard with the P3 mount. We got KTM hard parts exhaust flange guard right down here. Bulletproof designs, radiator guards. This is the horn and the mount that come in our kit, which is a factory.
Whoever owns this bike's got more money than they know what to do with. A carbon fiber front disc guard. How much did that cost?
$89.
89 bucks. I suppose it could be worse.
So the horn.
It's pretty sharp looking though.
We got the Extreme AXP 8mm skid plate on this bike.
Did this one come with a stock skid plate?
No.
No, okay. So
the XCW does not come with a stock skid plate.
How are you?
It's got bulletproof designs, swing arm tab guard right here.
Yeah.
FMF turbine core 2.0, bulletproof designs, rear disc guard.
Okay, so
this is the
second bike here.
Second
what
bike.
do we got?
So this is the 6 days model, standard 300 XCW. This is a 6 days model, 2020 300 XCW 6 days. The owner has gotten different plastics and put the factory plastics in a bag to keep them. But some of the things that are different between the standard model and the 6 days that you get are, one, the plastics that you take off. You get the 6 days rims. You get 6 days on your handlebars. Those are just more cosmetic stuff. Some of the nice add-ons, billet aluminum, anodized orange, triple clamps. You get a Super Sprox rear sprocket. Skid plate comes factory on this bike, does not on the standard XCW. Also over here,
What's the price difference between these two bikes?
I believe it's about $1,100.
Okay.
Over here you have a solid rear rotor. And you also have a map switch that comes factory on this bike. So those are...
So the bars were different?
Yeah, they're 6 days
Oh, labeled. Okay.
labeled.
All right.
And front axle pull.
Okay.
So on this build, very similar to the last build, it has our dual sport harness on it. CEV switch, factory OE, turn signals, horn, all the other good stuff that comes in the kit. Heated bulletproof designs, radiator guards. We did tubeless front and rear on this bike. We did golden tire 333 rear, excuse me. Golden tire 333 rear. And then we did a fatty front. Other things that were on both bikes that we added.
Stock tank?
These are both stock tanks.
Okay. How much, what's the fuel capacity?
2.2 gallons.
Both bikes?
Yep.
Okay.
We did fan kits on both these bikes. This is not the one where you need an additional harness, where it's the trail check.
So the bike did not come with a fan kit?
Both bikes do not come with a fan kit.
Does any of the Husky or KTM 300s come with a fan?
No, they do not.
No, so that, okay.
So this is the fan kit, which I will put the part number under this video's in the comments down below. This fan kit is only $100 versus the Trail Tech rebranded one where you need additional harnesses and all the other stuff. You really don't need it on this bike. The factory connector is under the tank, and there's a spot for the relay under the seat.
Right.
So it's controlled by the ECU, a lot simpler kit to install, and you don't have to fiddle with it.
Who makes it?
It's KTM OEM part.
So there's two choices.
There's two choices, correct. And so we'll get.
And they're both KTM brand, OEM.
This one is a KTM OEM brand. The other one is a Trail Tech part relabeled for a KTM power
Gotcha.
parts.
But that one's more expensive.
It's almost double the price.
And it's not worth it.
No.
Do you get anything?
You get to adjust when the fan comes on.
Okay. And it has the thermostat with the readout on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what you don't have is it hooked into a relay. It's hooked directly to the battery. So these bikes being no Kickstarter, and your fan's running when the bike's off and doesn't kick off after 10 seconds, because these are hooked up to a relay, so they'll turn off. Like
okay, so bottom line is, in all four of these bikes, there's not a single one that has a Kickstarter.
No.
Did your 19?
My 19 does have a Kickstarter.
Okay, but
I've never used it.
And I will say that I have 6 brand new Husky bikes in 4 years. The best starter, heads and shoulders, is this new 300 I have. That thing's amazingly reliable. It's a huge asset to the bike. So for people that are worried about Kickstarters, you can buy a kit, can you not?
You can, but I mean, really, you should, in my mind, focus more on having a battery pack that'll jump your battery, or running like I run
a microcharger.
Yeah, the microcharger. I have an anti-gravity restart kit in mine, so if the battery goes dead, it cuts off. You can push a button.
But bottom line, being that you own a 19, I own the 20, the Husky, we both emphatically would state that don't worry about not having a Kickstarter. It's super reliable.
If you want a backup kit,
it's one of the huge improvements that they've made on these bikes. Yep. Okay.
So this is one of the other bikes that we built.
This is the XC, right?
Yep. This is a 2020 300 XC TPI. So some big differences on the XC are going to be obviously air forks in the front instead of the exact WP forks. So this, you don't really have to respring these. You can adjust air pressure based on your weight. You do still have to respring the rear. The rear is a linkage suspension, where the XCW's is a PDS suspension. So like if you look at this bike, it has the XP Extreme skid plate / link guard. This was a really cool build. We got moto-minded Squadron S2 lights up front. So low beam, they're both on for high beam. HDB, we did a vapor dash on this thing from Trail Tech. So you got temp, speed, odometer, tripometer, ambient temperature, RPM is all right there, hour meter. We did our full dual sport kit on this bike.
Oh, and who makes the guard for it?
This guard is also an HDB guard.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
How much does that vapor thing cost?
The vapor, I believe, was $150. I had to go look, but yeah. Cool. But you needed a Speedo to be able to street legal this bike, so that was one of the best options, especially with the guard from HDB.
Better than who makes the stock one?
Stock one is a KTM part on the KTMs. It's made by Trail Tech on the Huskies. Okay. The new XC, something to really note, guys, is the old carbureted XC 2-strokes had a plug for the headlight and the taillight. They just didn't have the headlight and the taillight from the factory. The new TPI bikes, fuel-injected bikes, do not have those plugs. So this is another harness that we sell that gives you the factory connectors, and it's a relayed harness. And it also, underneath, behind this headlight mask, has 2 spots for relayed power. So a plug-in for power and ground. So if you want to run heated grips, or you wanted to run a light bar, or you wanted to run USB charger or whatever on this bike, with our harness, that's up here already. You have a place to plug in. So that's a cool feature of that. So his bike has the XC SX. It works on all the off-road bikes, or all the motocross XC FX bikes. And then he has the full XCW harness that plugs into that. So there's 2 harnesses required on the XC to make it street legal here in Washington.
So bottom line is, you sell all of the electrical wiring kits necessary for any of these newer 300 bikes to make them street legal.
Yep, all the way back to 2012.
Cool.
Yep. Other features of this bike, it's the same owner, so he has another carbon fiber Cerebus front disc guard. There's a flange guard on here. We already talked about the XP skid plate. Bulletproof designs, radiator guards, swing arm tab guard, rear disc guard.
Hey, why is there a link guard on this bike?
Because it has linkage.
Like the Husky?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the XC...
Is that the first time they've ever done that?
No. XCs all have linkage.
Okay.
Air forks and
because they ride faster.
they're made for more open riding, yeah.
Okay, so that's where you want linkage. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an XC and an XCW side by side here. What are the major differences, Dan? And also, why would a person buy one over the other?
Okay, so major differences, we'll start with suspension. These are the exact exact WP forks and PDS rear shock. Whereas the XC is an AER air fork in the front, which is 3 pounds lighter, and a linkage suspension in the rear. Other difference for this bike comes with lights. The XC does not. This bike comes with the plugs for lights, obviously. The XC on the new TPI 300 fuel injected ones does not come with plugs for lights. So that's one of the harnesses we sell, is to add lights to it. This bike comes with a speedometer, odometer, computer up here. XC does not.
What's the price difference?
They're the same price.
Okay.
If one person was going to want to buy one bike versus the other, if you're into hard technical trails, switchbacks, single track, roots, rocks, just gnarly stuff, the XCW I think is going to be more up your alley. It has a lower first gear and second gear, which is another major difference I didn't touch on yet. And just kind of works better in the tight technical stuff. Also with the PDS rear suspension, there's no linkage hanging down to catch up on stuff if you're going over obstacles. And you also have lights. If you want to ride more GNCC racing, faster stuff, the XC is kind of a better option that way. The linkage suspension just works better in faster routes, rocks, whoops, all that kind of stuff.
So that bike wants to go fast. This bike really shines when it's going slow.
Yeah, they both work very well in both, but the differences are very subtle.
Depends upon where you live a little bit, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have
an XCW.
XCW seems to really pan out, right?
So the transmission in these are both 6 speeds. The only difference is first and second gear. So first gear in the XC is taller, second's really close. It's almost the same. And then 3rd through 6th is all the same ratio.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Moving on to the rest of this bike. Same as the other build I did for him. FMF turbine core 2.0.
So there are 2 options in the can for these 2 with FMF.
Yes. You can do the 2.0 or the 2.1.
This is the what?
This is the 2.0. So 2.0 is much smaller. It's a little bit louder, but not much. It's not obnoxious. But I find it to be more tucked in. It's sturdier, gonna take a hit a little bit better.
Yeah, I love mine.
Yeah, and I definitely prefer.
Is there any advantage to the bigger one?
It's quieter.
So that's it.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I got to say that, man, when you're riding around in really tight, nasty stuff, having smaller, more compact, tucked away stuff is awful nice. Less likely to get damaged, scraped up, and all that.
So touching on fan kits that we just talked about.
Yeah.
The XC does not support the fan kit that I was mentioning on the XCWs. There's not a spot for a relay under the rear in the battery compartment, and there's no factory plug under the tank. So on this one, you are forced to run the TrailTech rebranded kit.
Okay.
So that is one other thing. It doesn't come with plugs for lights. It doesn't come with a spot for the relayed fan kit. So this one has the TrailTech fan kit on it.
Was there, other than buying it and plugging it in, was there a lot of work to do?
You got to run a separate harness back to the battery.
Right.
And I mean, all the fan kits require pulling the right radiator off, draining the coolant, hooking them.
Didn't need a different stator or anything weird like that, right?
The XC and the XCW both have the 195 watt.
So
radiator.
yeah, because I mean, that thing needs a lot of power. And,
Yep.
Okay.
So this is a really cool bike. I really like this build. Oh, one other thing that I didn't do, the XC does have billet triple clamps. The standard XCW over there has the cast triple clamps.
Okay.
The 6 days has orange billet triple clamps.
Right. So the XC and the 6 days has the same. It's just these are black and those are orange. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So my Husky bike, you know, XCW compared to the Husky TE, very comparable bikes, but there are some subtle differences.
Well, there's some big differences. Aside from plastics and lights, the TE is a linkage bike, where the XCW is a PDS bike. They both share the same forks, but on the TE, you have preload adjusters on the Husky. The standard XCW, which is the one at the very end there, has cast triple clamps, where the TE comes with billet triple clamps. Another huge difference is the composite subframe. This is all composite. There's no aluminum back here. On the KTMs, it's aluminum. So that's a very big difference. And I haven't seen any happen personally, but I've seen a bunch happen on the internet now where people are having issues with these cracking and breaking right up front right here. So something to keep an eye on. We've been watching this bike right there, and on the same side, on the other side right here.
Now, the composite, is that lighter?
No, it is heavier.
It's heavier.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be stronger.
Supposed to be.
Yeah, but it's not quite panning out. It sounds like.
It's not proving that right now.
All right.
KTM on 2020 did add about 3 inches back further on their aluminum subframe to give you more support for the rear fender, and if you wanted to mount bags or whatever else. The TEs also come with a map switch. They come with a Pro Taper bar, and not the, I think it's a Niken is the factory bar on the KTM. Besides that, I mean, those are the major differences.
You know, wouldn't you agree then that if you're really trying to decide between a KTM and a Husky, it might boil down to, you know, what's the best dealership you have in your community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you live very close to an extremely good KTM dealer.
Yeah.
So, so knowing what kind of dealer support you might get, a dealer is not just selling bikes, it's fixing bikes. And even if you fix your own bike, you need a place to buy parts.
Yep.
So I found that in a tie, find out who the best dealer is. You know, would you agree? That's a good way to go.
A good way to go. Because a lot of people, you know, depending on where you live, are 3 hours, 4 hours from dealerships.
Now, one big complaint one reason why people buy the Husky over KTM is a lot of people just don't like orange.
Yeah. And
we've seen that, you know, you can buy the aftermarket plastics now and make it pretty much any color you want. For example, we've got video footage of Lee's bike in gray, and I mean, it looks super sharp that way. So if you don't like the color of the KTM, buy a plastic kit. I mean, what would a brand new plastic kit like Lee's? That's hardly nothing. That's 160 bucks.
And see, I'm on the camp of, I own a Husky and I own a KTM.
Yeah.
I hate white plastics
right,
because they look like crap after 2 rides.
Yeah.
So I change out my Husky's plastics most of the time.
I take an SOS pad and get whatever grinds out of mine, but you know,
he pays somebody else to do it.
There you go. Now, okay, so the difference so there's like the Husky is a little bit of an upgrade over the XCW TE, but in some small ways, it has some extra parts to it. But what's the cost difference right now between, say, the TE and the XCW?
I think they're about, I'm not positive just right off my head, but I think it's $300 to $600, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
So they're really close.
So the question is, how much of those parts stuff works? I got to say, the XCW does not have a map switch, but you can buy a map switch and do it yourself. I got to say, I really like having the map switch. So that for example is a nice
map switch is $80 retail.
Well, then you have to install it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's very simple to install.
It is. Okay.
Yep.
For you.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, hey, Dan, thanks for discussing the differences of the 300 bikes. We've had some fun out here riding around today, and so cool. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.